Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to pause for just a moment as our participants are entering the room here. So welcome to the Syracuse session on technology, computers, and the human mind. We're very excited for tonight's presentation as we have a wonderful panel of experts with us here this evening to share their knowledge with you. We'll give it just another moment as I see there's still several people joining us in the room here. Okay, why don't we get started for now to make sure that we make excellent use of our time. My name is April Lynch. I'm an Associate Director of Admission with the office here at Syracuse University. We are very excited again by tonight's panel, and I'd like to kind of go over some of our quick facts about Syracuse. We have such a wonderful, vibrant community here at Syracuse University. With over 200 majors and 100 minors, there really is something for everybody to look at and to explore. We value that education, and we hope that you become lifelong learners with us. You have many, many options as far as majors, minors, dual enrollment, crossing those academic disciplines. We are also a Research One institution, and as you will hear tonight, we love to dive into research and have you help us along that path. We are also very encouraged that our students love to interact with all of the activities and the amenities that we have on campus, as well as the opportunities to study abroad and to get a really global perspective. Now, Syracuse is located in upstate New York. For those of you that maybe haven't been able to visit campus yet, we would love to have you join us on a virtual tour or come visit us as well in person. You can sign up for that on our website. And you can also sign up for more of these types of sessions. They're called the Academics at Syracuse section, and we would love to have you do that. Now, let's move on to our first presenter. I would love for you to meet Rachel Skipper in our College of Arts and Sciences as she's going to dive into that for us. Thank you.
Thanks, April. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening, or for some of you this afternoon, and for some of you this morning. We know we have people from all over coming to learn about Syracuse, and that's very flattering, and we appreciate your time. I, again, am Rachel Skipper. I'm the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Recruitment, specifically for the College of Arts and Sciences in the Maxwell School at Syracuse. And that's important for you to remember, because when you apply to Syracuse, you'll be selecting a specific school or college on your common application. And if you're interested in the things I'm talking about today, then the college for you to select would be the College of Arts and Sciences or the Maxwell School, based on the major that you'd like to pursue. And you'll hear from other panelists today who represent other schools and colleges around the university. So the point of today's session is to help you navigate that, right? We have a lot of schools and colleges. April already shocked you with a number of over 200 majors, and that's really exciting, but it can also be intimidating. So today we want to zoom in on a specific subset of your interests and talk to you about some options within that category. So the majors on this screen are all of the majors that I represent or that I recruit students to, and it's a lot, right? You can see a huge variety of majors here, and some of them won't be interesting to you. And in a lot of cases, multiple of them will be. So I think the three that may stand out to you based on the fact that you're here with us tonight, technology, computers, and the human mind, was an intriguing topic, and intriguing enough to get you on Zoom for an hour. So biotechnology, neuroscience, or psychology might be, again, particularly interesting to you. And the good thing about being a student in arts and sciences or in Maxwell is that we work together as a team. So the Maxwell majors are underlined on this slide, the arts and sciences are not. And you can compare and contrast and add and collaborate with multiple majors, multiple programs within arts and sciences in Maxwell. So if you want to take 2 or 3 of these majors, that would be totally normal for an arts and sciences or a Maxwell student. If you want to take 2 arts and sciences majors and a Maxwell minor, or 1 of arts and sciences, 1 Maxwell, and a Maxwell minor. So any combination of these things can really work. Kind of touching base more closely on those 3 majors that we want to highlight for you a little bit tonight, biotechnology being the first. As some of you might already know, biotechnology is the process of taking a living system or a piece of a living system and putting it to work for what is most often human use, right? So things like genetically modified organisms or vaccines, things that are based in science that exist in nature that we kind of tinker with, modify, make better, make useful in other ways. So if that sounds interesting to you, biotechnology might be a good major. Something good to understand about biotech at Syracuse is that this is an interdisciplinary program. So you will be taking some biotechnology laboratory courses in this major. You will also be taking some engineering courses, but also some economics courses, some management courses. So you can really understand the business side of biotechnology as well. So really interdisciplinary major. You'll be taking courses all around campus, not just from the arts and sciences and Maxwell curriculum. And there will be a lot of hands-on laboratory work as part of that major. Neuroscience is a little bit different in that it is a required double major. So what we call in arts and sciences and Maxwell an integrated learning major. Neuroscience, if it's interesting to you, you will need to pair it with something else as the foundation of your neuroscience curriculum. That's because neuroscience is a very broad field, right? Some people who are interested in neuroscience are interested because they want to be a neurosurgeon and go into healthcare or medicine. Others who are interested in neuroscience might want to be a psychology or go into counseling or therapy. Other students interested in neuroscience might be not interested in people at all. They're interested in cells, right? And maybe spinal cord injury or cellular regeneration. So they are more interested in the cellular mechanisms that drive the nervous system. So they would be more comfortable in a laboratory environment, in a laboratory career. And then also we have students who are interested in neuroscience because they care about artificial intelligence. So more of a computer science spin on our neuroscience curriculum. So again, those are just a few examples. Some students would be interested in multiple, and some students might have a totally different take on neuroscience. And so for that reason, we want you to take neuroscience alongside another program, right? If you're the psychology or therapist type student, in my example, then you would pair it with psychology. If you are the cellular minded student, in my example, then maybe biochemistry or biology would be a good fit. And then lastly, our psychology program is one of our largest programs, really one of the largest programs at Syracuse overall, not just one of my largest programs. And that's because, again, it's a pretty broad topic. A lot of students get a taste of maybe one psychology course in high school or secondary school and want to pursue that further as an undergraduate student. I will tell you that at Syracuse, the psychology major is relatively easy to complete. You would be wrapping up in probably 3 years if you only majored in psychology. And so again, a lot of students will pair psychology with something else. So that's a nice one to take if you have multiple interests. If one of them is psychology, that's great, but you should certainly anticipate having time and the resources to work in a second major next to that with your psychology major. All of the majors on this slide, if you haven't already, you can snap a photo, will pair together. So again, these are arts and sciences and Maxwell majors. It's just a matter of filling out a form if you want to do more than one. April, I'm ready for my next slide, please. Thank you. So with that, we want you to be thinking about undergraduate research. Many of you we know already are. I get questions about this a lot. You know, how do I access research opportunities? What research opportunities are available? And a big question I get is, if I enroll in this major, what research opportunities are available to me? And I think it's important for all of you to understand that really the ways that you pursue research at Syracuse don't have to be limited by your major, and often they're not. So we have students working in research labs all over campus, and certainly any arts and sciences or Maxwell laboratory or research group would welcome students from a variety of majors. We see students kind of working in these labs and often bringing an interdisciplinary take to the lab by having an education in different areas outside of the maybe most obvious focus of that lab. On the screen, for example, Peter is a biochemistry student, Elisa Marie is a psychology student, Jasmine is a biotechnology and African American studies double major, and Max is an international relations and geography double major. So in case you're wondering kind of what their major is and how it relates to their research. We in arts and sciences also support undergraduate students through quite a few undergraduate research fairs each year. For example, there's a psychology specific research fair. If any of you are interested in learning more about that, send me an email. They actually just sent me their guide for all of the labs that are represented in this year's research fair and offer that to me to share with you. So if you would like to learn more about the psychology fair as an example, of what a research fair at Syracuse looks like, that might be useful to you. Essentially, all the faculty and graduate students and current student researchers will come out, excuse me, and tell you about their work, tell you about what it's like to work in their lab, and try to kind of draw you in to join their team. So that makes research really accessible. We also have the Source, which was mentioned on April's first slide, which is a team of staff at Syracuse that their sole purpose and their sole goal is to support undergraduate researchers in the research process. So that's really useful to our students. And then lastly, all of the professors at Syracuse have a research focus or are actively engaged in their field. So they are doing things outside of the classroom that you might want to jump in on and help with. So again, that makes research a lot more accessible to our students with all of their professors kind of being engaged in their fields and having some experience outside the classroom. And then April, I'm ready for my next slide. I just want to also underscore for you that it doesn't stop there, right? Research is largely happening on our campus, but then we see students taking steps off of campus to do internships and also to study abroad. So these are internship examples on the left side of the screen from all arts and sciences and Maxwell students. You'll notice that there are quite a few different research avenues listed here. You'll see some local organizations, some organizations throughout the US and some international organizations. And all of our academic advisors in arts and sciences in Maxwell, so kind of like a guidance counselor that you might have had thus far, that person at Syracuse who supports you academically is also trained as a career advisor. So they'll be walking you through what research and internship opportunities might be a good fit, what might not be, when should you study abroad, when can you plan which courses you will take abroad, how do you juggle all of these things that we anticipate you'll be doing with us. So that's kind of a nice perk. Have a career advisor right from the get-go at Syracuse and work with them as you work on your major and as you get your major requirements done. And then lastly, study abroad. I just wanted to share with you again some examples of arts and sciences and Maxwell students and the things that they've done abroad. Max at the top left corner is the same Max that you saw on the previous slide, who's doing some data science work and using analytics to think about black spots in terms of criminal activity around the world. That's him studying abroad in Poland. Alexandra is a student who, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't miss anything, is double majoring, is pre-med, is in the honors program, and studied abroad twice already during her time at Syracuse. She's actually doing a takeover on our student ambassador Instagram account today. So if you want to check that out, I will send you or give you a QR code on the next slide. Barrington at the bottom left of our study abroad examples actually did research abroad. So he coordinated an abroad trip to Austria so that he could continue his research in chemistry in a lab that focused more specifically on the protein that he was interested in. And so he used his study abroad as a research opportunity. And then lastly, Rachel went to Stockholm, which is a popular spot for STEM students abroad, and completed some of her pre-med requirements while she studied abroad. So again, just some examples of our students and things they've done. And I hope those kind of resonate with you and the things that you're hoping to do as a college student. April, last slide. Lastly, just grab a quick scan of this QR code if you'd like to follow our students on Instagram. I will be very helpful to you throughout the college search process. I anticipate that this is not the last conversation that I will have with you if you're interested in arts and sciences in Maxwell. And again, you can email me. My email address is above. But I think our students are an invaluable resource for you. They are so vibrant and interesting and engaging, and they volunteered their time just to spend and talk with you. And one way they do it is through this Instagram account. So they contribute all the content to this account, SU Dean's team, and we hope you follow them there to hear more about their stories. With that, I will hand it back to April, and I look forward to your questions at the end of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Rachel. What great information you've passed on. Just a reminder, if you do have questions this evening, we will be checking the Q&A section down at the bottom, and we will be answering those questions for you. So please put your questions in that area. And now I am very pleased to introduce Dr. O with our College of Engineering and Computer Science. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is J.O. I'm professor and the chair of the Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department. We actually have 3 slides to present, and I'm gonna present the first 2 slides, and then my colleague, Jonathan Hoster, will present the last slide. So again, my name is Jo, and I'm going to introduce some of the programs that we have under the College of Engineering and Computer Science. And obviously, we are showcasing four programs on this slide, but we have many more programs such as mechanical engineering and the civil engineering and environmental engineering and so on and so forth. So let's talk about computer science program first. So computer science is really interested in designing and implementing programming languages and the software systems, explore new models of computation, such as quantum computing and fundamental limitation of computation, and then design and implement artificial intelligence, machine learning solutions, and mobile apps. So please notice the actual keyword here, designing and implementing. And I want to emphasize designing, which means that, for example, I know that some of you already know how to program computers using languages like Java or Python or C++, and someone has to actually design that programming language. And the computer scientists are the one who really design those languages so that people can use those languages to actually do programming. But the computer scientists' interests don't stop right there. They also use the programming languages they have developed, and then you develop all different kinds of software systems that will support artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions. So you can see computer science is among all different types of technology related majors. Really, it is a fundamental program and the study of computing and the technologies. Okay, then let's move on to computer engineering. Computer engineering really focuses on hardware design. And so, for example, if you want to design iPhone, then you really have to look at what kind of hardware that goes in there. You have to think about the battery efficiency, how long the battery should last. The performance of the iPhones and things like that in terms of hardware. So computer engineering majors really learn that, and so that make sure that designing secure and the CPUs for computers and robots and other mobile devices. Computer engineers are also very much interested in coming up with a solution for cybersecurity. And in here, computer engineers, again, looking at the hardware and the software solutions all together, not just software solutions. Then when you talk about electrical engineering, again, if I give you iPhone example, iPhone designers has to think about, again, as I said, like a battery consumption of the phone, and they have to think about how electricity flows within the device and how communication through Wi-Fi's or 5Gs and 4G networks. And the electrical engineering is the major that really focus on designing and developing and improving existing wireless communication systems. And they are also interested in wide variety ranges of disciplines, including medical imaging and pattern recognition. So when I talk about pattern recognitions, you can think about military radar systems or flight control systems, recognizing some of the incoming airplanes or any other objects, right? So electrical engineers are really interested in the physics of those types of devices. And electrical engineers also are interested in designing and implementing sustainable power systems. So if you care about the environment, then you may have heard about using wind powers or using solar powers, and the electrical engineers are really working on those systems to come up with the next generation power sources. And obviously, I also mentioned about quantum computers. If you think about quantum computers, any computer systems require electrical devices, also the hardware devices like VLSI chips, and then software. So, if you look at computer science and computer engineering, electrical engineering all together, all these three different majors really work together. But not to mentioning, the last one that I want to present is bioengineering. And bioengineering is very similar to what electrical engineers do, but they also focus on particular applications of biomechanics and how do you actually design hardware and the software systems for medical systems, right? So it's extremely important to study bioengineering because that really helps human beings to take care of ourselves in terms of medical needs. So bioengineering also develop advanced imaging systems, and you can also use that imaging system to visualize cell behavior and so on and so forth. So we are really proud of our programs. Our students are extremely successful in many different areas of the industry and academia. So next slide, please. So I want to talk about research a little bit that is going on in our department. So, undergraduate students can get engaged with us faculty members to do their summer research, or even during the semester, they can actually engage research problems with faculty members. So I kind of listed some of the keywords here, and it looks like a lot of them, but actually we do much more than this that I present on my slide. So, few of them are machine learning, AI, multi-agent systems, deep learning. Some of you may have heard those terms or not. Robotics, pattern recognition, classification, communication networks, social media analysis is one of the things that our faculty members are really interested in. And they basically look at the social media, like a Twitter feed or a Facebook feeds, and they analyze the data, and they can kind of detect which news items are fake news or not, that sort of a thing, right? And obviously authentication and cybersecurity, those fields are also being researched within our department. I don't know whether you heard of cyber physical systems or not. Right now, a lot of people are interested in autonomous driving cars. So there are some cars that can drive by themselves. And some of our researchers in the faculty, they study cyber physical systems, autonomous driving cars. And one faculty in the department also are interested in mobile health. So if you have, for example, iWatch, iWatch can actually act like monitoring your health status and helping you to be more healthy. So, some of the researchers are also interested in that kind of applications. Quantum computing is an up and coming field. And I don't know whether you heard of quantum computing before or not. Quantum computing is very much, it's in its nascent situation. And people are still trying to figure out how to make quantum computers. And once we are successful making quantum computers, basically the impact of that success is enormous. In other words, that you can pretty much like break any kind of encryptions in seconds with the quantum computers. So we have to also come up with a way to protect our computer systems if quantum computing becomes successful. So some of our researchers are also studying that as well. In terms of bioengineering, people are studying biofilms and the antibiotic resistance, cell tissues, mechanics and the patterns, and biomaterials and drug transport across the blood-brain barriers and so on and so forth. Again, I'll be very much happy to answer any questions during Q&A session. So I'm gonna actually pass my microphone to my colleague, Jonathan, for the next slide. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. O. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hoster. I'm a recruitment specialist in the College of Engineering and Computer Science here at Syracuse University. We're really excited that you're here tonight and learning more about the opportunities at Syracuse. This particular slide, what we wanted to highlight is some of the really great outcomes that our students in computer science and engineering, where they land upon graduation. So they get really great jobs across the country and sometimes internationally. Here are some of the big companies that they often go to work for. And I think it's really important to know how we support this process. So engineering and computer science students are assigned to 3 advisors right from the beginning, and those 3 advisors follow them through their 4-year career here. Those advisors include a success advisor, who is sort of like the head coach of their advising team. Anything the student needs to be successful, they talk to their success advisor and they help with it. The students also have a faculty advisor like Dr. O, who's a professor in their major, who is their go-to person for anything about their major. Then they also have a specific engineering and computer science career advisor who will work with them on the kinds of things that we listed here. Getting connected to employers and preparing to meet employers at career fairs, as well as other making other connections with employers at info sessions and whatnot. Connecting with alumni for mentoring, working on their resumes and cover letters, and searching for and applying for internships, co-ops, and jobs. And so the advising system at Syracuse is really, really strong. And I think that's an important point to know. And then we listed a number of careers here specifically for people in these majors within computer science and engineering that we've been highlighting that Dr. O was talking about. So these are some, not a complete list, but I think a really great list of some of the career fields where we find students going into with degrees like electrical engineering, computer science, and bioengineering, which I should mention we also call biomedical engineering. So there's some really, really exciting outcomes, and we are excited by your interest in Syracuse, and we look forward to your questions and staying in touch with you after today as well. So I'm going to toss the proverbial microphone back to my colleague, April.
Thank you so much, Dr. O and Jonathan, for sharing all of that about the technology aspect of computer science and engineering. And now we're going to have Dr. Kingma with our School of Information Studies talk to us again. Thank you.
Thanks, April. Can you advance? Thank you very much. So I'm Professor Kingma. I'm a faculty member in the School of Information Studies, which we know is the I School. And I'm also a faculty member, actually a professor also in the business school. Now, I know you know what a B school is, but what the heck is an I school? And that's the question we get all the time. There's only about 100 of these things worldwide. And they sort of started in the 1990s when the internet was born. So we've been calling ourselves an I school way before Steve Jobs started calling this the iPhone. So he stole the name from us, but the name is relative to both, right? So we're not an iPhone school, but just like an iPhone that connects you to the world, we study everything that's going on here. I don't know if you can see my Amazon app and my Facebook app and my Netflix app and my Google Mail app, but that's who we are. We look at, the development side of that, building apps, building websites, and the business side of that as to, what is the business, what's the financial model there? We look at the security side of that. And of course, we look at the social media side of that. We've got 44 faculty, all from different disciplines, different areas, looking at all of these issues. And we've got so many faculty that we end up with 12 research centers. And anything you can think of in IT, we've got faculty doing research in that area. We have a set of 3 bachelor's degrees and 3 minors, but we also have 2 dual majors with the I School and of course with the Whitman School of Management, the business school, and with the I School and with the Newhouse School of Communications. Both, it just makes sense to have an IT dual with those programs. And then our students do double majors all across campus, multiple students groups, and just unfortunately a limited 100 slots for incoming students. We bring in about 100 students, we graduate about 250 students a year as students sort of discover what an I school is. So I do want to talk briefly about the 3 majors and the 3 minors. The first is Applied Data Analytics, a brand new major for us this year, empowering data-driven decision-making. And the bottom line for any of the 3 majors, you have 5 primary core courses that stretch across all 3 majors. And then you take 6 more courses that do more of a deep dive in that area. So Applied Data Analytics, as it says, is about data and doing data analytics and getting you a degree in that. What I want to talk a little bit more about today is information management and technology, which is not only an undergraduate degree, but also a minor for us too. Very popular minor across campus. And then for the students that are able to get into the major, it's a very popular major. It's where technology and business meet. At most schools, a major like this would be in the business school, but at Syracuse University, it's in a standalone School of Information Studies. And faculty that have degrees in business, degrees in economics like myself, and also degrees in computer science or in information science teach in this program. Again, you have that 5 primary core courses, but then you do a deeper dive into technology and management. We also have Innovation Society and Technology. That's advancing equity and justice through technology. That's more of a, you might say, a social science degree. You look at information and you wonder how information is impacting the world. And you've heard some of the recent stories about Facebook or Google and when they sometimes mismanage their data. So if you're interested in that, you go into that degree program. And you have 6 additional courses in technology, society, and innovation. Now, for any of the 3 majors, you also take 5 more courses in a concentration, and we'll get to that in a second. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention our standalone minor, Information Technology, Design, and Startups. Those are for students that want to start their own business. So it's how to start a business or nonprofit organization within the technology sector. And not only this slide, but my 3rd slide, I'm going to touch upon some of the students that have started cool ventures in data analytics, in information management, and in what we call the Innovation Society and Technology space. Now, regardless of your major, you end up taking a concentration. And so April, if you could advance to the next slide. So these are the 7 concentrations. And sometimes I say your concentration equals your career, or at least it tracks you into a space where you can envision yourself when you're exiting Syracuse University, entering the workforce, what kind of career you might have. Very popular concentration in information security management, not the hardware side of things, but the software and the people side of making certain that the organization is safe, or the organization's IT is safe. And now Benjamin Sire, a recent graduate of ours, currently has a job at IBM doing exactly that. And now he's security certified and helping IBM keep their stuff safe. Digital retail strategies are individuals that want to go into the e-commerce side, right? If your goal is to work for Amazon or work for a company that's on the Amazon site, you might want to do digital retail strategies to understand the IT side of that, the web, the app, and the business side of that. Innovation, Design, and Startups is not only a minor, it's also a concentration. And those are for students that want to start a business. Usually about 5% of our students, 1 in 20 of our students starts a business every year. And typically we have some really successful students. Again, I'll get to that in a second, you'll see. Project management is actually IT project management. So a lot of the students here go into consulting firms that help other companies understand their IT better, okay? If that makes sense, a small company doesn't really know what it's doing in the IT space. Should we go to the cloud or not? Are we secure or not? These students go off and work for EY or Deloitte or some of the other big consulting firms to help them. Now, Daniel Scott graduated with this concentration, but actually works for Microsoft doing this. So an extremely popular concentration is the web design and management. Really should say web and app design and management. So you understand how to build a website, build an app, but also understand the business side of that too. Then networks and cloud management is what it says, right? It's those individuals that want an understanding in the cloud, maybe want to get cloud certified. That's their path in life. That's the concentration for them. And then finally, also a very popular concentration is data analytics. So if you're a major in data analytics, you don't do the data analytics concentration. But if you're a major in information management technology or innovation society and technology, one of our other 2 majors, very popular for those students to do the data analytics concentration. So it's sort of like our major, a light version of our major, where you get some of the data analytics course so that you can, when you see the data, you know how to handle it, you know how to use it, you know how to use it to help businesses make better decisions on that. So April, if you could advance to the next slide. So this is just some of the great faces of the students that we've graduated in recent years. You know, you can see underneath them, I'm not going to tell you all their names, but you can see where they ended up. And it's sort of our signature of who we are, making certain our students, you know, get great jobs in the industry. Last year, even in the pandemic, we had an 88% placement rate for our graduating seniors. It was, I just was blown away by it, because a year ago, or, you know, in May of 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, for us to be that successful, I was very proud. First time we had been under 90% in a long time, but still we're able to secure some great jobs for our students. I do want to focus in on that middle row that starts with sidearm sports and goes all the way across, because those are great stories, and they're great stories that illustrate our three majors, as well as the innovation, design, and startups, sort of the entrepreneurial theme for some of this too. So Jeff Rubin is the CEO of Sidearm Sports. And he is also a professor in the iSchool. And if you come to the iSchool, one of our majors, you'll have him as your first professor, your first semester as a first-year student, because he teaches our Intro to Information Technology class to all the incoming freshmen. But he's also CEO of Sidearm Sports. He graduated with us in the 90s and then started a company called Sidearm Sports. Well, you know, you probably haven't heard of that company, but any college that you've applied to, any college you've applied to, go to their athletics website and look at the bottom of the athletics website. And typically it will say powered by Sidearm Sports, which means that their athletics website is run out of Syracuse University by Jeff Rubin. It's pretty cool, right? When I have a longer presentation, I show the University of Georgia website. I show the Harvard website. I show the University of Alabama website. I show the Stanford website, all run by Sidearm Sports, one of our faculty members. And he is a typical graduate of the degree in information management technology with the concentration in web design and management. The next slide there is a picture of Jessica and Evan. And they started a company, I think maybe 5-6 years ago, called New York on Tech. Both of them are graduates that had very successful jobs in Wall Street, making 6 figures, doing extremely well, you know, with their background in information management. But they decided that wasn't fulfilling for them. They really wanted to start a nonprofit to help individuals in disadvantaged neighborhoods that may not have access to IT training in their high school, in their middle school, and they went back to they were in New York City. They were originally from New York City. They decided to start this nonprofit organization, leave their well-paying jobs to start this nonprofit organization. It has been so successful in such a short period of time that now it's America on Tech. And they run it both in New York and Los Angeles. They're going to be expanding to other cities, as so many companies, so many great companies have given them money in order to accomplish this goal. They would be poster children for our IST degree, Innovation, Society, and Technology, the impact of information on society. And then the next slide is Andrew Farah for Density. He started a company a few years ago, also a graduate of the iSchool. He started a company a few years ago that basically looks at the data from cell phones as individuals go in and out of stores, right? And not only the ability to show, you know, not who you are, but whether or not that cell phone has come in and out of the store, to take that data to help the store owner know what his or her busy periods are and how long those people stay in the store. So it's really a company about data. And if he were graduating from the iSchool today, he would be in the applied data analytics major. Now, I would be remiss in the few seconds I have left if I didn't mention Celeste Drumhillers, formerly Celeste Curry, who now works at Facebook. And she was one of my favorite entrepreneurial students. She started a venture called SoulScarf while she was still a student of ours, built the website. She was one of these IM&T, information management technology, with concentration in web students. built a company around selling scarves with a percentage of that going to a nonprofit organization, and built a really strong social media following also that enabled that company to be very successful. Well, she was doing so well that Facebook took notice of her. And this led to her getting a great job at Facebook. And, you know, Soul Scarf ended up being a side hustle for a little while. She has since left Soul Scarf, but she had had write-ups about her in Marie Claire magazine, in Fortune magazine, in Vogue magazine, as well as being one of Inc. magazine's cool college startups back in the day. So when you think about the iSchool and you think about our major, think about this. And if you have any questions, you can always email me any questions you have. And you've got the 3 majors there mapped out, as well as the concentrations that provide a career path. All of those concentrations are areas where faculty are doing research in that area too. So thank you, and thank you, April.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I know I learned a lot listening in on that. I would love to have all of our presenters come back on screen for us. I know we have some student questions that we'd like to get answers from all of our panelists for. You know, one question I often get asked is, I have so many interests and I know I want to kind of study in different areas across Syracuse University. How easy is it for a student in your area to kind of cross academic boundaries and add a minor or take some classes? I'd love to hear from each of you.
I'm happy to start with a general kind of Syracuse answer and then also an arts and sciences answer. So at Syracuse, I know we have a question in, kind of in hold already about combining majors across the different schools or colleges, right? We all just told you all these really exciting things, but I kicked off by saying you have to choose one, and that's stressful, and that's okay. So if at Syracuse you want to major across different schools or colleges, and that is called dual enrollment. And there's an option for that on the Common App. So when you choose your school or college of interest, you'll find single colleges, and then you'll also find some options where multiple colleges are listed there. So if that's you and you want to do an arts and sciences major and a management major, right, then we have a program where we collaborate together. So if you can find that pairing on the Common App, then there is a dual enrollment option where you enroll with both. Some students then will also want to do things, of course, that are not on that list, right? There is no formal dual enrollment, I believe, with the iSchool, for example, because iSchool students pair up with a lot of other majors around campus. So they're not really restricted to those dual enrollment programs. So I would say if you're interested in combining majors, we would like to have a one-on-one conversation with you because the rules are confusing and because we can help you understand what options are going to be the best fit for you and help you compare options. But in a lot of cases, you can go ahead and just apply to multiple schools at once. Your next option is then to just complete a minor in the second thing or the third thing or the fourth thing that you're interested in. And that's a matter of filling out a form. Any of the minors around campus, you can tag onto your major, no matter what the minor, no matter what the major, right? So I've had students take a dance minor, right? And do some performing arts alongside their STEM major. And you're welcome to do that. We've had students do nutrition studies, or maybe they do some political science work alongside their STEM program. So whatever you are interested in, you could certainly do a minor in that and tag it on. And then I'll again just mention that any of the different majors on my slide for arts and sciences and Maxwell can easily be paired together, just a matter of filling out a form. So there are a lot of options. And again, I'll say, if it's one of my majors that you're interested in and you want to pair it with something else, please email me so that we can talk about what's going to be the smartest way for you to apply. And again, make sure that you're making the right decisions, that you're going to get what you expect from those programs.
Awesome. I'll jump in next. So again, I represent the College of Engineering and Computer Science, and I saw we had a question come in about a student who's interested in doing a major in engineering and computer science and then a minor in arts and sciences, and that's a great combination. In fact, if you look at our students in the College of Engineering and Computer Science broadly, they have a lot of different minors, and sometimes it's from arts and sciences, sometimes it's a STEM field for their minor as well as their major. So their minor could be physics, math, chemistry, etc. But they could be an engineering and computer science major, and their minor could be something different. It could be music or business or design or a language or economics. So as Rachel and April said, there's lots of really good opportunities for combinations here at Syracuse.
So I agree with everything my colleagues just said, and there are some dual majors that are formal relationships between the schools. So the iSchool has duals with the business school and also with the Newhouse School of Public Communications, which help a little bit. But the bottom line is, you know, one of my favorite students a few years ago actually was a quadruple major. I couldn't believe he was able to do it, but he was able to do it, a quadruple major. Usually those are students that come in with some additional AP credits, but it's if you are interested in more than one major, it's doable. You just make certain you want to sit down with one of the student service advisors, one of the counselors about how you're going to do it, because then you want to get that done within 4 years. So it's always possible. And then for the super high performing students, I've seen one that was actually a quadruple major between I think it was political science, business school, the iSchool, and one other in the College of Arts and Sciences. Amazing, right? It's doable. You want to think of what you want to do when you come in the door.
Fantastic. Thank you all for that. I do have a question from a student who is here tonight who asks, how do I choose specific majors or courses to prepare me for a career in nanoscience? Would any of you have advice for them?
I think it really depends, April, on what particular area the student wants to go into. So nanoscience, they could be exploring nanoscience within electrical engineering. They could be exploring nanoscience within biomedical engineering. So it might depend on, you know, which direction they want to go, because like Dr. O was saying earlier, there's quite an expansive amount of research opportunities here. And Dr. O, I don't know if you want to say anything more about, you know, what opportunities there might be there.
Yes, I think Jonathan is quite right. I mean, it's really depending on what application areas are really interested in, right? So if you're really interested in fundamentals of nanoscience, then you kind of have to choose, you know, it could go with bioengineering, electrical engineering, or material science, or sometimes in physics as well. So, you know, I think it would be really helpful if you think about, you know, after you get your degree in nanoscience, what do you want to do? Do you want to get a job, or you want to go to graduate school, or, you know, and what kind of application areas that you'll be interested in choosing nanoscience? So, you know, Jonathan and I can surely be helpful to connect with some of the faculty members who would really identify your true interest. And I think that goes with the, you know, majors in art and science as well. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, for any of you students who are attending tonight, if you do have questions and you would like to speak with Jonathan, with Rachel, with Dr. O, Dr. Kingma, we are very happy to connect you with them so that you can ask questions and kind of dive into these topics and get the best advice as to possible majors and careers. We also would love to ask all of our presenters, why do you think students should be considering these fields and looking at these as part of their future plans?
I'll kick it off with a very candid answer, which is that we want you to make money after you graduate. These are lucrative fields for talented people, and the world needs more of these people, so they're willing to pay you. So these are good careers for people with an interest in STEM who want a lucrative career, a comfortable lifestyle. And that's important to a lot of Syracuse students. I mean, we are a career-driven school with career-minded students. So I would say that's one reason. The second reason I think you should specifically be pursuing these types of careers and preparing for these types of careers at Syracuse is the quality of instruction and research opportunity you will have at an R1 research school. So for those of you who are not yet familiar with the Carnegie system, schools are ranked for the productivity of the research they do, for the funding of the research, that correlates to the funding that the university gets for the research they do. So you will want to be at an R1 school like Syracuse if you want to do STEM research at or in college, if you want to have a number of research opportunities available to you, right? A wide variety of options, right? The student interested in nanoscience, there's probably easily 3 different laboratories on campus that would use different applications that you could learn from. So it's useful to be at a university that has a rich research culture, because that's going to prepare you well for those jobs in those industries. And then lastly, I'll say you're going to want some career advising and support. So to the student who is asking, what do I do to prepare for a career in that field? The first thing you need to do is walk on campus and ask your academic advisor, what do I need to do? We have a team of advisors. Jonathan already mentioned the structure of their advising and engineering. Most of the other school and colleges have a similar kind of design with a team of advisors assigned to each student. So you will have people on campus to ask these questions on a bi-weekly basis, if that's what you need, right? Each semester, every year, as your plans change, and you navigate through the different options available to you, and you start to identify what's the most interesting. So again, these are lucrative fields. We are in need of people to come up with solutions, environmental solutions, healthcare solutions, and many of the fields we've discussed today will prepare you for careers in that.
I would say from the engineering and computer science perspective, if you get a bachelor's degree in computer science or any kind of engineering, you really have limitless opportunities, because what it really means once you have a degree in computer science or engineering is that you're a problem solver and you think analytically. And those kind of skills are attractive to lots of employers in so many career fields. We showed some of them earlier, but that was certainly just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the wide range of things that you're qualified to do once you have that degree in computer science or engineering. So, and I also always like to tell students that if you know you want to be in the engineering and computing realm, you don't necessarily have to be, feel like you're locked into a particular major. If you've known since you were 3 years old that you're going to do computer science, that's great, and we'll help you do that. But if you just recently gathered an interest or got interested in engineering and aren't quite ready to lock it into a particular kind of engineering yet, that's great too, and we'll help you figure that out, because you can't make a bad choice. They're all really good choices.
I get a lot of students right now that are sophomores that are trying to figure out a concentration in the high school. And I always ask them, think of who you want to be 5 years from now. Where do you want to be working? What job do you want to be working at? And then from that, we start to sort of drill down as to what concentration they might want, what dual or double major they might want. All of them are looking for something involving IT, whether it's the soft side of IT, which we talk about with social media and being a social media expert, or more the hard side of IT of being security certified, or building websites for others, or doing data analytics. And so I would challenge all the students, think about where you want to be 6, 7, 8 years from now, and let that help you pick a major, because it will help you sort of launch your career in that direction.
Yes, I definitely want to double down on what Dr. Kimma said, and I totally agree with you. And I think it's important for students to think about what you want to do after your graduation. And I know many of the students also wanted to be working at the industry, big companies, but some of the students want to work for startup companies. But also some of the students wanted to go to graduate school, wanting to get master's degree or a PhD degree. And if you're one of those students who wants to go to graduate school, I would like you to really look at, I know it may sound a little too early for you, right? Because you're in high school and you're looking for, what major you're going to do in your college, but it's never late. Actually, if you're set to get a PhD degree, never late to think about what kind of PhD degree program that you want to get, you want to get your degree from. And then that really will help you to decide what kind of major that you wanted to do for your undergraduate. So that's very important information that I am to share. And the website and these internet information is extremely important and extremely useful to find those type of information. I also like to, I know a lot of young, college students that I encounter, they wanted to start their own company. as Dr. Kingma mentioned, we also have many students graduated, starting their own companies and things like that. And, a lot of students want to do work on something to do with technology, right? And, some of the examples that we already know very well are Apple Computer that was founded by Steve Jobs, and, Microsoft's founded by Bill Gates, or, even Netflix that you guys are probably watching a lot of movies and, dramas. And all these companies has some commonalities. All those founders of all these, and the Google and the Facebook, all these companies that I just mentioned, all these companies' founders were computer science majors. So if you really don't know what kind of major that you want to do, you want to do some, you want to actually make a big dent in technology area, I would invite you to consider computer science.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'd also like to ask you, and I'd love to have you answer in one word, what makes a student successful in your academic college? What students are curious. How do you know, or how do they know they're in the right spot and they're going to be successful? So let's see if you can do one word for me.
Communication. Letting us know when you need help, letting us know what we can do for you.
April, you know me well. I can't do one word, but I agree with what Rachel said. Asking for help when you need it, it's really important. I usually put it in three points. Your intellect certainly is important. Your willingness to work hard and asking for help when you need it. And that third one is the one where some students aren't willing to do that right away, and sometimes that causes them to struggle. But none of us would be here if the students weren't here. So I think that's important to know.
I have a different word, and it's going to sound unusual, but I would have the word internship. And the reason why is our most successful students, our most successful graduates, take internships during the summer. We've also got a great internship placement program. And if you're excited about an internship, if you're excited about going into an organization and helping them out achieve their goals, right? Whether it's Google or Facebook or Apple or Amazon or Netflix or any of those tend to be our most successful students. So, my one word is internship. If that long word excites you, then you fit well in the iSchool.
I wanted to mention that, I think the internship really is important. Yes, a lot of times I think that the employers really are trying to hire students as a permanent employee from their internship program. I also wanted to agree with what Jonathan shared, right? Don't be shy communicating with the people who can help you, but especially faculty members. And the way I see Syracuse University as a whole, right? I'm not talking about just my department or my college, but I think that Syracuse University as an entire university really is great in terms of making faculty members being available to students. Okay, so don't be shy to talk to faculty members. Okay, every faculty members that I talk to, they're all happy to talk to students when students come to their offices and they talk about anything, right? I mean, obviously you want to talk about your academic situation with your professors, but if you feel comfortable to talk about some of the other issues, your career goals and things like that, many faculty members be very, very happy to talk to you. So please don't be shy.
Thank you all so much for sharing your expertise with our students tonight. We really value your input. For those of you who are students in the audience, thank you for sitting and taking an evening to spend with us. We do have the contact information for tonight's panelists up on our screen. So go ahead and get picture of that as we head out this evening. But thank you again for joining us. If you are interested in watching or listening to any more of our panels, we do have those listed on our website and you can register for those. And again, we encourage you to reach out, ask us questions. We are very happy to connect you with tonight's presenters or any of our other faculty and staff members on campus. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.